Hi everyone, Happy New Year. Welcome to another episode of the Get Coach podcast. My name is Kate and we're recording this from Blantyre, Malawi today. So hello from Blantyre. This episode, we're going to be continuing on with career advancement, and we have a very special guest and dear friend of mine today, Mrs. Esnat Suleman, and she's going to be coaching us on how to go about navigating the corporate world and advancing your career. It's going to be a really good one. I hope you enjoy it. All right. Thank you, Miss Esnat, for coming on the Get Coach podcast. We welcome you and Happy New Year to you. So to kick things off, may you please tell us a little bit about yourself, not the serious stuff. Who are you outside the office? What do you like to do?
Right. Thank you, Kathy, for having me. I'm so excited to be here. Well, as you already know, but perhaps your viewers don't know. So I am a wife and I've got 3 children. So when I'm not working, I love to spend time with family, especially outdoors. So whenever we can, we're doing some physical type of activity or going places together, spending time with family and friends. Aside from that, I love to work out and I love to watch movies. So if I'm having a lazy day at home, I'm probably watching movies or a series.
Oh, lovely. Yeah. Okay. Balance. All right. So today, I'd like us to really help our audience, especially the ones breaking into the career market and even seasoned people like myself who have 12 years work experience, right? I'd like us to discuss and dissect career growth, right? As the heading of this particular episode is Advancing Your Career with Miss Esnat Suleman. So I just wanted to find out the sort of secret sauce for career advancement in your opinion. I'd like you to please coach our viewers and our listeners on how they can go about doing this like you have done so successfully. So to kick things off, what are the key experiences or milestones in your career that you believe were most instrumental in helping you to reach your current position as head of investment banking?
Okay, I'll start at the very beginning because I feel like the beginning did contribute to where I am now. So it drills down to how I even got my first job. So in university, I studied economics and always thought that after school, I'd probably work in a role that was pure economics. So research, probably working at a place like maybe the ministry, places like that. And I'd always thought I'd do a master's in development economics and the like. So when I was in my 4th year, I received an award for best economics performance. So the award would be given to the top 3 students. And I was one of them and I got that award. That award was given by CDH.
Oh, nice.
Yes, the discount house. So after I finished, they called me for an interview and they picked me for the role. And that is how I ended up working in the financial sector, as opposed to actually going into what I thought would be policy and the like. Yeah.
Okay.
So I finished my education in December. In February, I started working of the following year. But my position then was trainee economist. So I was working in a financial institution, financial sector, but still in an economic role. Yeah, so I did that for about a year. And then I moved on to Nato Asset Managers, where now I went as an economist stroke research analyst.
That's where we met, by the way.
Yes.
In 2012. Yes. Yeah. That was my first job.
Yes. So I think for me now, the second milestone was probably moving to Nico, because when I moved to Nico Asset Managers, it was a smaller company that had just started. I think it was in its either 1st or 2nd year of being established as an independent company with just a few employees. I think there was just about 6 of us at that time. So when you work for a small company in the earlier years of your career, you do much more than what your job description says you should do. So then I got to learn about investments, so equity market, the bond market, and all of that. But I was an economist, so basically doing the economic research that would inform investment decisions. But eventually, I started dealing on the market, and then I started contributing to strategy on how to invest. I started doing the reporting and even deciding how a client's portfolio should be set up. So after a couple of years, I think about 3 or 4, then I was promoted to investment officer. So pretty much moving out of the economics. Yeah. So in that role, I think my development then was because of hard work. So I know a lot of people say hard work, but I think a lot of people don't mean it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
you know, late hours, this, that.
Yeah, but I used to really work hard,
Yeah.
and I feel like my boss could attest to that. He could see
Could
how
see
hard
it.
I worked, and I think I took it as an opportunity to say he wasn't my formal mentor in that sense, but he mentored me. So I looked up to him, and he was very experienced. He was very knowledgeable
young too.
He was young, and I
Yeah.
feel like he supported all the employees. So I took advantage of that.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. So your second manager sort of was very instrumental at playing the mentorship role in sort of cultivating your early career and hard work.
Yes, definitely. And then another major milestone for me was actually qualifying for the CFA on the CFA program, becoming a charter holder. I had commenced the CFA program soon after joining Nato Asset Managers, but I had learned about it from my first job actually. So a friend of mine was on the program, and she told me, you know what, if you're going to be successful in the financial sector, this is a program to do. And I listened to her, which is also, I think something that's important for us is sometimes you get advice from different people. So it's up to you what you take in, but certain advice can certainly push you in the right direction. Yes, so I qualified for the CFA charter in 2015 when I was at Nato Asset Managers. And I feel like that is what then helped me get my next job, which was another sort of, it was pathway to where I am now. Yes, because when I then joined the Malawi Stock Exchange, I joined as the operations manager. And it's a job that involved engaging a lot of people externally, addressing media and things of that sort. And I feel like a lot of people became more aware of me because of that exposure. Yes, to the point that when I was joining FDH, I actually had been approached to join the company. So I feel like that was also a major milestone for me.
Okay, amazing. It just sounds like a 2-year period talking about it, but how long has it been?
Wow. My first job was in 2008.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. That's when I was studying university. So
yeah, so now just about 15.
Wow.
Yes,
15 years. That's a whole grown human being about to go to university. Okay, great. Quite insightful. So what advice do you have for junior professionals looking to differentiate themselves and to stand out in a competitive job landscape?
Okay, so the first thing I think is to be focused. Like you must know what you want to do in your life. And I think when you're focused, make sure everything else then aligns to that. Yes. So when I talk of everything else, I'm talking about the education. So make sure that you are developing yourself by getting the right qualifications so that when an opportunity presents itself, you are prepared to take it up. There are a lot of times when opportunities can present themselves, but you're not ready for it because one, you don't have the right qualification, you haven't had enough experience, and that is also very important because I see a lot of young people wanting to get ahead very quickly without really making sure they've grasped the basics. Yeah, so when you can grasp the basics, and master the skills, it makes it easier to progress. Because I'll tell you, I think the worst thing in life would be for you to rise to a position, but you're completely blank. You're not, yes, you like, you don't have the knowledge, and then you have all these people that you need to look. They're reporting to you, and when it gets tough, they look up to you to give them a solution, and you cannot give them a solution. So that is very important for you to develop yourself, be focused, get the experience, and also just work hard, like really work hard.
Not 4 o'clock. Okay, I'm out of here. Okay, work smart as well. I guess not hard. You can still leave at 4 o'clock. Okay, great. And then you've kind of spoken about this with your second manager, which is mentorship, right? Yes. I wanted us to talk about how you approach mentorship and sponsorship with your current organization, and how can aspiring professionals seek out effective mentors and sponsors to guide their careers. So how are you guys doing it now currently? And what advice would you give other people in identifying and sort of getting that relationship going?
Okay. So as we speak now, I do mentor quite a number of people.
Oh, wow, you do?
Yes. So some of them have come through our company's formal mentorship program.
Oh.
So we have some graduate trainees that come through, I think, every 2 years or so. It's about an 18 months program. And they are attached to senior executives who can mentor them.
Okay.
Yeah, so I do mentor 3 people through that program. But aside from that, I was also asked to mentor a senior manager within the bank. And then I have had people who have approached me personally to ask me to mentor them.
Okay.
And finally, I have had people that I've mentored through a program that was not even to do with FDH Bank, but a different independent program that then identifies professionals that can mentor young people. So if you're asking about someone looking to find a mentor, I think there are a lot of different ways you can do that, but you can take your own personal initiative to look at someone that you look up to and then approach them to mentor. There are a lot of people who are willing out there to share their experiences, to share their knowledge. So I think a lot of young people are just shy or afraid, thinking maybe they will get rejected. But I must say there are a lot of people out there who are willing to mentor.
To help and mentor.
Yes.
So just a follow up on that. So in terms of the internal mentorship, it will obviously be very investment banking focused, and you mentioned one was outside the organization. So for example, for me, I am looking to mentor, but I also want a mentor. So this mentorship will obviously not be specific career focused. It's more coaching type of mentorship. Like, okay, this is what you've done so far. This is what your career is looking like. Where do you want to go? Okay, so maybe consider doing these sort of programs, or do you know what I mean? Like, what sort of mentorships are you doing outside of the investment banking focus sort of mentorship? If my question makes sense.
Yes, it does. So actually, even for those that I mentor from within the organization, it is not only restricted to the technical work that we do. It is connected to personal development, because it is who we are as people that deliver on things. So when I start off my mentorship with anyone, we will first of all set up goals. So the goals are linked to what the mentee actually wants to achieve. So it could be career related, it could even be education related, but I will always align my mentorship to what they want to achieve. And within I think a majority of the mentees that I've mentored will also want me to mentor them on investments. So it's quite diverse what I do, but it depends on my experience. So I'll only mentor someone in an area that I have experience
Exactly.
in. Yes.
Okay. And I think one nugget that I think is important and relates to you, Esnat, is your personal brand, right? Like I feel like you have this management serious brand. You know, there are other people in the office where they're very intelligent, but they always get overlooked because of their personal brands. They come off very casual, not serious, even though they might be very intelligent and capable, but they always get overlooked. And I think one of the things that I learned from you, being someone just coming out of university, was branding. Okay, how do I dress? How do I, just even things you talk about in the office, like, some things you leave outside just to maintain that brand and to have that corporate sort of persona, is something that I feel I learned from you. I don't know if you have something to add there.
Yeah, I actually feel like people are not very intentional about their personal brand. But when you think about it, companies spend a lot of money to brand themselves. But why is it that we as people don't see the need to actually brand ourselves? And that's very important. And branding yourself doesn't mean you change yourself or you pretend to be something you're not. It's about being authentic and making sure that you present yourself in the right way depending on where you are. So there's we all have different sides. I have a fun side, right? But
she does.
But I also have a focused, serious, go-getting side. If I'm at the office, I know which side of myself is required in the office. So I think that's something that we continuously need to consider as people.
Yeah. I think you get the balance very well because, we've been friends all these years, right? How long now? 12 years, I think.
Yeah.
So I can say you definitely have a fun side. That's where our friendship comes out. We can joke, we can laugh, but at the office, we definitely had a different relationship, and she was somebody that I looked up to. So yeah, thank you for that.
Thank you for saying that.
All right, great. On to the next question. I'd just like us to briefly discuss the importance of a network in terms of career advancement and how best to go about growing your professional network. I think from what you've said so far, I know that your hard work also just did the things for you, especially your time at Malawi Stock Exchange. Being in the public eye, it exposed you. But outside of that, what did a professional network play any role in your reaching this point?
I think network definitely does play a role. And for me, I think it's played more in terms of being able to achieve in my work. Because most of the work that I've done, I've had to also engage with external people, other businesses, other companies. And through the network that I was able to build, I found that it helped me to achieve my work within my role, helped me perform. And by me performing, then that also then helped me to progress in my career.
Okay.
Yes, because when you network, you get certain business referrals. So then you end up getting a new client or something like that. Or sometimes just growing the business. When you've done business with someone before, they were happy with how you did the work, they'll come back with repeat business. So I think networking definitely does help. I have been networking with pretty much the same people, I feel, throughout it's a small market, whether even when I was in investment management, when I was in capital markets, now that I'm working in banking, financial sector is still a single sector. So the people that I have worked with in the beginning are still there now. And I feel like that even helps me in my current career because I can easily pick up a call and call someone and ask them to help me maybe complete a certain transaction or things of that sort. So networking really does help.
Okay.
Yes.
No, super important. Yeah. And then you already mentioned that you are a CFA charter holder. That's amazing. That qualification is not easy to get for anyone that's tried it out, including myself. So what role does continuous education play, you feel, in career advancement?
Okay, I think continuous education is definitely very important. For me, it has really helped me develop personally as an individual. So maybe just to give an idea of what kind of professional programs I've embarked on since completing my bachelor's. So obviously I did the CFA program. I also did my MBA.
Nice.
My MBA was focusing more on leadership.
Ah,
I've also done quite a lot of leadership programs. I did one with GIBS, the Accelerated Leadership Program. Last year, I completed the Executive Development Program with the University of Stellenbosch, the business school. And I feel like these programs that I've been on have helped me both from a technical perspective to develop my technical skills, but also helped me develop the soft aspects, which I think are often overlooked.
Yep.
So in your earlier part of the career, you will definitely need your technical skills. And that's why for me, in the beginning of my career, I focused a lot on making sure that I got the CFA program. So there's a lot that I learned in the CFA program, looking at Malawi being a small market. There are a lot of products that we don't yet have in Malawi. But through the CFA program, I came to know certain products that we've never traded. Some of them are only just coming up now, but then it's easier for me to understand because I've done the CFA program. And then after the CFA program, now doing the management programs, the leadership programs, was also a different aspect for me because I think I've always been very technically focused, but then they got me to understand emotional intelligence. So how do you relate with other people, in certain circumstances? If there's conflict, how do you approach conflict? When you rise up and then you have people that report to you, the people also are different. How do you manage different types of people? How do you inspire them to also be able to deliver in their work? So I think doing professional courses after your bachelor's degree is very, very important, but you must always make sure that you align them to where you are in the process and definitely what you also want to achieve.
So, for example, maybe somebody who is, quite managerial, would you say they shouldn't be doing something super technical like a CFA and focus more on like the executive programs?
Well, I think it also depends on the institution that you're in and probably the size. What I find is smaller institutions, you could be a manager, but you end up doing a lot of technical things. So at that point, you still need the technical. But once you feel that you've mastered the technical, you pretty much understand it. You really need to then start to focus on the soft skills. However, once you hit the manager position, you do need to focus on soft skills because that's the next stage of your career.
Makes sense. So is there anything else that I haven't asked you that you feel is essential for someone aspiring to reach a leadership position, and what qualities are important? Anything else we might have missed out?
Okay, well, you didn't ask me this, but everyone else asked me this,
What did I miss?
And I think maybe it's usually the women who want to know, and they're always saying, how do you get ahead in male dominated?
That's actually very key.
It's like such a common question, but I also understand because you also work in a sort of male dominated industry.
Yes, in fact, currently I'm the only female on my team.
But I think what I keep telling people is, for those of us who work in teams like that, we no longer have the consciousness that we're working in male-dominated
I didn't
fields.
even think about it. Yeah.
And that's what I say to say, people say there's a lot of stigma and all of that. Maybe we're privileged. I have not really faced the stigma.
Yeah.
And actually, I think it's more a mindset thing. And for me, that's why I say my second manager was very critical in mentoring me, because I still remember what he said to me when he said, being a female and being an achiever is probably the biggest asset. So whilst others would look at being female as a disadvantage, he said it's an advantage.
I believe that.
Yeah, we're in times where people want gender balance. But how are they going to feel that gender balance? They'll look for the females that are achieving. Yes. So if you're a female out there, you already have an advantage, but you just need to make sure that you qualify and you have the right experience, because also it's not just going to be handed to you simply because you're a female. Yeah.
Don't let us down.
Sure.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Okay.
And maybe finally, I think just the balance is also something that I'd want to talk about, because, you know, when we're in our career, sometimes you can easily lose focus of balancing out the rest of your life. Yeah, so you can be a workaholic, which may not necessarily be a bad thing, but life balance is important, because in the same way a vehicle needs to be serviced, a human being 100%. Also needs rest for you to be able to operate at your best. Yeah. So having that work-life balance is very, very important. So make sure that you take time to also do the things that you enjoy. Yeah. And when you're in the office, then give it your 100%. I always believe that when we're intentional about what we're doing, we are able to maximize. So even if you have very little time with your family or with your friends, if you make it memorable, it's enough. Yeah. It's enough. That's so profound. Yeah. So because sometimes we also feel bad about not spending enough time maybe with our families and the like, but just make sure that you make it memorable, and that will be enough.
I love that so much. Okay, thank you for that. In conclusion, let's shift gears a little bit. So Miss Esnat here also has a podcast. So let's talk about that a little bit, and your what led you to starting your podcast or YouTube channel, Young and Visionary.
Yeah, so my podcast, Young and Visionary, basically, as the name, targets young people. I know that there are other people who are not necessarily young who also follow it, because obviously I talk about certain things that may be relevant to people of different age ranges. But ideally, what I had intended to do was to share my knowledge and experience with young people. You know, I always feel like life is a path of discovery. However, not all of us have to pass through the difficult times to learn about, you know, how to get around certain things. So the fact that others have passed through that, you can share the knowledge so that others don't have to pass through that. Maybe sometimes in life we have regrets. So other people don't have to pass through and face those same regrets. You can share the knowledge that you have and help other people be better. So if we really do want a better tomorrow, I feel like we must share as much knowledge as we have. So really, that's where it came from for me. I love to share information, especially positive information about money issues, saving and investing. Because for me, I mean, if I'm asked what's your biggest regret, I always say, I wish I started investing early.
Long time ago. Yes. Thank you.
So if I can, so if I can tell someone that today and they're fresh out of university, they're in their first job and they're investing, can you imagine what they will be in the future? Yeah. So really, I wanted to share about investing, about personal development, career development. So that's really what led me to start the podcast.
I guess that's why you and I bonded, right? From an early age, whatever. Because literally that's why I started the podcast as well. I get really touched when people don't share information because it's the scarcity mentality, right? Like there's enough for everybody to have enough. There's enough resources, and I'm very passionate about people not going through the same mistakes I went through or someone I know went through. So thank you for starting the podcast and sharing information out there. All right, great. That was amazing. Thank you for sharing, Ms. Esnat. So we like to conclude these episodes with some adulting questions, we call them. Right. So the first one is, what is the biggest life lesson you've learned so far? If you had a time machine and you could go back to advise your younger self, I know one thing you're going to say is start investing early.
Yes.
What's the one piece of information you would give her? Or maybe two. We can do two.
Okay, so I think apart from invest early, the other thing I would say is don't be afraid to take chances. You know, I always feel like everyone underestimates themselves. So the perception that other people have of you is normally higher than your own perception of yourself. So I know that in my career, there have been times where I've been asked to go and talk, especially in the beginning. I'd go like, oh my goodness, I don't think I can do that, you know? But I should say, I think I'm so grateful to my husband, Jack, because he has so much more confidence in me than I have in myself.
Charismatic.
So he'd always go like, you can do this, like you're the best person to do this, like who else would do this, you know? And that would just really push me to do it. And then in the end, I'd actually be so proud of what I've been able to do. So I really think people should not be afraid to take chances. You just don't know what opportunities it could open for you.
That's true. I think you just preached to me there. And then one of the questions we also love to ask, because adulting is very challenging, is how do you deal with difficult times? What centers you? How do you remain sane, a functioning adult human being?
Oh, thank goodness for God.
Of course.
Like I always say, I don't know how people who don't believe in God make it in this world. Because to be honest, when it's stressful, just knowing that there is a God out there who loves me so much, who thinks good of me, who wants me to live life to its fullest, and even when I pass through the difficult times, he's right there with me. That is so comforting to me. So I think for me, my number one go-to is God. So I'll pray about it, you know, and just somehow he gives it. The Bible says that he gives you a peace that surpasses all understanding. It is just so true. Sometimes you'll be in a mess, but it won't feel like a mess just because God is there. Apart from that, I think it's about doing things that bring positive mental health. So I mentioned I love to exercise. I think for me, that's one of the things that really calm me down. Last year, through one of my professional courses, I came across meditation. So I've always had a different perspective of what meditation was. You know, I think of it in the Buddha terms.
Don't do that.
And then, like, even in prayer, I used to know about prayer and meditation. But I never thought of meditation in the way that I learned meditation should be last year. So I went on, it was called, it was a high performance coaching. So I was on a high performance coaching program, and we would do these breathing exercises. And within those breathing exercises, you really calm yourself and really listen to your body and relax and like just shut out the whole world. And in doing that, then they will tell you what to focus on. So I took that and I brought it to my Christian life.
I love that.
And I would, the internet is amazing. I'd go on YouTube and get like a 10-minute Christian meditation.
Love that.
So I would be doing the breathing and calming, and the video would have all this inspirational scripture that it would give me, and at the end of it, I would feel so refreshed and so light. So those are some of the things that I do just to, keep me sane.
Yeah, I'm gonna look into that for sure. Okay, final question, quickly to wrap up, is you mentioned you like movies and reading. What are you currently binging on series-wise? What movie have you recently enjoyed so much, and what books are you reading?
Okay, so I just finished watching a series called, I think, Fool Me Twice or something like that on Netflix. Well, I am a sort of thriller mystery sort of person, so those are the things that I enjoy watching. Occasionally, when I'm if I'm watching with Jack, we'll watch action because he loves action. And maybe I could watch drama, I watch romance, but I love thriller and I love mystery because I like to keep thinking, and this series that I just finished watching had a serious twist at the end, and I really enjoyed it. So that's what I just finished watching. Okay, so in terms of book, I am actually currently reading this book. It's called Extreme Ownership.
Okay.
Yeah, it's about how U.S. Navy SEALs lead and win. So the book was written by former Navy SEALs using the experience from the military. It's a book on leadership, but basically talking about how leaders need to take ownership of decisions or whatever they need to do. So I'm very early in the book.
Oh, okay.
But that's so my first read for the year.
Okay, perfect.
Sure.
All-time favorite book?
Atomic Habits.
Of course.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks to you, actually. I think you're the one who recommended I read Atomic Habits. I love this.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Esnat, for this time. It was amazing. I learned a lot. I hope our audience did as well. And we hope to have you again soon. And I hope to come on yours. I don't know what investment advice I would give, but I'll talk about. No. We'll save that for later. But thank you for coming.
I actually already have an idea of what I would want you to speak about, because you, Miss Kathy, are also an accomplished young lady who's done so much for yourself. You've invested and you bought a house, and that's every young person's dream. So I think maybe we might just talk about that. How to own your first house. I think that would be very nice.
Okay, awesome. All right, thank you.
Sure, thanks for having me. Bye-bye.
Well, that's it for that episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Esnat, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate you. And for everybody else, continue to like, subscribe, and share with your friends so that we can grow the community. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Bye.